The sun had just begun to set, painting the small town of Willow Creek in soft orange and pink. Mara ran across the field behind her house, her hair flying in the wind. She loved these evenings, when the sky seemed endless and the grass felt like a soft carpet beneath her feet. Tonight, however, something unusual caught her eye. In the distance, near the edge of the forest, a bright light glimmered. At first, Mara thought it was a star falling from the sky. Then she saw it move. The light floated gently and slowly, hovering just above the ground. Mara's heart began to race. Curiosity pushed her forward. She ran closer, careful not to make noise. As she approached, the light shaped itself into a small figure. It looked like a fox, but not an ordinary one. Its fur shimmered with colors she had never seen before, like the surface of a bubble in sunlight. Its eyes sparkled, deep and intelligent, and its tail glowed faintly in the dim light. The fox grinned at her, showing a clever, almost human expression. Mara stopped in surprise. The creature tilted its head and made a soft sound, like a gentle chime. It did not look dangerous. Mara felt a strange sense of calm wash over her. "Hello," she whispered, unsure if it could understand her. The fox blinked slowly and padded a few steps closer. Mara held out her hand, and to her amazement, the fox leaned forward, sniffing her fingers carefully. Suddenly, a voice called from behind her. "Mara! What are you doing out here?" Mara spun around. Her father, Simon, was running across the field, worry on his face. Mara took a deep breath. "Dad, come see. There's something here." Simon slowed as he approached the glowing fox. His eyes narrowed, studying the creature carefully. He had seen many things in his life, but nothing like this. "Mara, stay back," he said, his voice calm but firm. The fox did not run. Instead, it sat down and looked at Simon, tilting its head as if it were trying to understand him. Its grin remained, small and charming. Mara stepped closer to her father. "Dad, I think it's friendly," she said. "Look at its eyes. It doesn't seem scared or angry." Simon crouched to get a better look. The fox's gaze was intelligent. It blinked slowly, then suddenly did something unexpected. It raised its paw and touched Simon's hand lightly. Simon froze. The touch was warm and soft. It felt almost human. Mara gasped. "See? It wants to be our friend." The fox made a soft chime-like sound again and moved closer to Mara. She could feel the gentle glow of its tail brush against her arm. It was magical, almost like holding a tiny piece of the stars. Mara laughed quietly. "You're pretty, aren't you?" she said. Simon looked around nervously. "Mara, we don't know where it came from. It could be dangerous." Mara shook her head. "No, Dad. I don't think it is. Look at how it moves. It's careful. It's not hurting anyone." The fox suddenly darted a short distance and then stopped, as if inviting Mara to follow. Her heart raced with excitement. She glanced at Simon, who sighed and nodded slowly. "Okay, but we stay together," he said. Mara and Simon followed the fox to a clearing in the forest. There, they saw a small, silver ship, shaped unlike anything Mara had ever seen. It was smooth, round, and seemed to float just above the ground. Soft lights pulsed along its surface, giving it an almost gentle heartbeat. The fox ran to the ship and paused at the edge of the glowing doorway, looking back at Mara. "It wants us to see its home," Mara whispered. Simon's jaw tightened. He was cautious but curious. He stepped forward carefully, Mara by his side. The fox motioned with its paw toward the ship. Mara noticed tiny symbols glowing faintly on its surface, patterns that seemed to shift and change as they watched. The fox padded inside the ship first, then turned to make sure Mara and Simon were following. Mara's eyes widened as she stepped inside. The interior was bright and warm, unlike anything she had imagined. Smooth walls reflected the soft light from floating orbs. Strange plants with glowing leaves lined the edges. The fox moved to a corner, curled up slightly, and let out a soft, musical sound. Mara knelt beside it. "You're not just clever. You're amazing," she said softly. Simon remained standing, his eyes scanning the ship. "We need to understand what this is before we make any decisions," he said. The fox looked at him again, tilting its head, as if trying to reassure him. Its eyes glimmered with a hint of playfulness. Mara whispered quietly to her father, almost hoping he wouldn't hear, "I think it wants to stay with us." Simon glanced at her, then back at the fox. The alien fox grinned charmingly, as if it had understood every word. Mara smiled. Somehow, she already felt that her life was about to change forever. The next morning, Mara woke up early, her mind still buzzing with thoughts about the fox. She crept downstairs, careful not to wake her father or her younger brother, Leo. The sun spilled gold across the kitchen, and the house smelled like warm bread and fresh coffee. But Mara hardly noticed. Her thoughts were with the fox. She slipped out the back door and ran toward the forest clearing where the ship had landed. The fox, now familiar to her as Fira, was waiting. Its tail glowed faintly in the early light, and its eyes sparkled with intelligence. Fira grinned charmingly as Mara approached. "Good morning, Fira," Mara said softly. The fox tilted its head and stepped closer. It sniffed her hand gently and let out a soft chime-like sound, which Mara decided must mean it was happy to see her. Mara remembered the lessons from yesterday. She took a small stick from the ground and tossed it lightly. Fira's eyes followed it, and with a swift, graceful leap, it caught the stick in its mouth. Mara clapped her hands in delight. "You're clever," she said. Fira dropped the stick and pawed at another one, encouraging Mara to throw it again. The two of them played in the soft morning light, the fox moving with a grace that seemed almost magical. Mara laughed as Fira spun around, tail glowing brighter with excitement. Suddenly, Simon's voice called from the edge of the forest. "Mara! Come here now." Mara turned. Her father was walking carefully toward them, his expression a mix of worry and curiosity. Mara waved him over. "Dad, come see. Fira is friendly." Simon stopped a few feet away. He watched as Fira dropped the stick and wagged its tail. The fox then performed a small, playful bow, like a child asking for attention. Simon blinked. He had expected something strange or frightening, but this was different. "All right," Simon said cautiously. "Show me what you can do." Mara tossed the stick again. Fira ran faster than any animal Simon had ever seen, caught it mid-air, and returned it with perfect precision. Simon raised his eyebrows. "It is clever," he admitted. Fira padded over to Simon and touched his hand lightly, just as it had yesterday. The warmth of the touch made Simon pause. He had studied animals and even some advanced robotics, but nothing in his experience felt like this. It was alive in a way that seemed almost human. "You're smart, aren't you?" Mara said to Fira. The fox blinked slowly, then moved closer to her, pressing its small body against her arm. Mara laughed quietly. "I think you like me," she whispered. Simon watched carefully. "Mara, remember, we don't know much about it," he warned. "It could be from somewhere far away, maybe not safe for us to keep yet." Mara shook her head. "No, Dad. Look at how it acts. It's gentle. It wants to play, not hurt anyone." Fira suddenly jumped a short distance and ran in a circle, then paused and looked at Simon. Its tail glowed in patterns, flickering like tiny sparks. Mara tilted her head. "It's trying to show you it's friendly," she said softly. Simon took a deep breath. He could see the fox was intelligent. Its movements were deliberate, almost like it understood everything around it. He knelt slowly, careful not to frighten Fira. The fox stepped closer and touched his shoulder lightly. Simon felt a strange comfort in that touch, as if it was saying, "I mean no harm." Mara's eyes sparkled. "See, Dad. Fira wants to be our friend." Simon nodded slowly. "All right, but we need to be careful. Let's take it home for a short time and see how it behaves around the house." Mara clapped her hands. "Yes. Come on, Fira." The fox chirped softly and followed Mara toward the house. As they walked, Fira explored curiously, sniffing flowers and watching birds. Leo ran out of the house when he saw them. "Mara! What's that?" he shouted, his eyes wide. "This is Fira," Mara said proudly. "She's different, but nice. She wants to play with us." Leo stepped closer, hesitant at first, but Fira wagged its glowing tail and made a small chirping sound. Leo laughed and reached out to touch it. Fira nudged him gently, and Leo giggled. "She's soft," he said. Simon followed, feeling a mix of amazement and caution. Fira was unlike anything he had ever seen, yet the fox seemed to have a gentle spirit. Mara and Leo led Fira inside, showing it their toys and books. The fox examined everything carefully, touching the pages of a book and tilting its head at the pictures. Mara whispered to her father later that afternoon, "I think she wants to stay with us, Dad." Simon watched Fira curl up on a soft rug, its eyes half closed, tail glowing faintly. The fox seemed content, almost at peace. Simon could feel the warmth and friendliness in its presence. Perhaps, he thought, this creature could indeed belong with them if they learned to understand it. Mara smiled and knelt beside Fira. "We'll take care of you," she promised. The fox's small, charming grin made Mara's heart leap with happiness. Somehow, she knew that her life had just become far more exciting than she had ever imagined. Days passed since Fira had arrived at Mara's home, and life seemed brighter and more exciting than ever. The fox-like creature had quickly become part of the household, exploring every corner with cautious curiosity. Mara loved showing Fira her favorite spots in the house, while Leo followed closely, laughing at every little trick Fira learned. One sunny afternoon, Mara decided it was time to introduce Fira to more of their home. "Come on, Fira," she said softly. "I want you to see everything." Fira padded behind her, tail glowing gently as it sniffed the furniture and rugs. In the living room, Simon watched carefully from his chair. He still felt cautious about having an alien creature in the house, but he could not deny the joy Mara and Leo showed whenever Fira was around. The fox had an intelligence that was clear in the way it observed, learned, and even helped. Mara picked up a small toy ball and rolled it across the floor. Fira leapt quickly, catching it mid-air with grace that made Mara clap her hands in delight. Leo ran to join the fun, and soon the three of them were playing together. Fira dropped the ball at Mara's feet, nudging it as if asking her to throw it again. Simon smiled quietly. "It seems like she wants to be part of the family," he said softly to Mara, who nodded eagerly. "Yes, Dad. She really does," Mara whispered, crouching to pet Fira's soft fur. Fira leaned into her touch, eyes half closed in comfort. It felt like a small, warm miracle in the middle of their quiet home. Later, Mara's mother, Eliza, returned from her errands. She froze for a moment when she saw Fira curled up on the rug, its tail glowing softly in the afternoon sunlight. "Oh my," she said with a mix of surprise and awe. "What is that?" "This is Fira," Mara said proudly. "She's friendly and smart. She wants to live with us, at least for now." Eliza stepped closer, cautiously reaching her hand toward the fox. Fira sniffed it and gave a soft chime, as if greeting her. Mara's mother laughed softly. "Well, she is unusual," Eliza said, but she seems kind. We just have to make sure she is safe. Over the next few days, Fira began learning household routines. It watched Simon prepare meals and even mimicked him in small ways, carrying napkins and helping Mara set the table. Leo giggled every time Fira attempted to place a spoon incorrectly, only to correct it herself with a small, proud wag of her tail. One evening, Mara brought out a book filled with pictures of animals. "Look, Fira," she said, pointing to a picture of a fox. Fira tilted her head, her glowing tail flicking with curiosity. Mara turned the page, showing birds, dogs, and cats. The fox's eyes widened as if trying to understand each creature. Mara laughed. "You're learning so fast. Maybe one day you'll teach us something new too." Simon watched quietly from his chair. Fira's intelligence was clear, but what amazed him most was the warmth she brought into the family. Every laugh, every gentle paw tap, made the house feel brighter. He realized that this little creature, from somewhere far beyond the stars, was slowly becoming a part of their lives. That night, Mara whispered to Fira as they sat by the window. "You're safe here. You don't have to be afraid." Fira looked at her with sparkling eyes, leaning close, as if understanding every word. It let out a small, musical sound that made Mara smile. Leo yawned and climbed into bed. "I like Fira," he said sleepily. "She's fun." Mara smiled and stroked Fira's fur. "Me too, Leo." "Me too." Simon joined them for a moment, sitting on the floor beside Mara. "I have to admit," he said softly, "she's different from anything I expected, but I see that she brings joy. Maybe this is how our family grows a little bigger." Over the next few days, Fira learned more about the house. She began helping with small chores, like fetching shoes or guiding Mara to the kitchen when she wanted a snack. Mara taught her games, and Leo taught her how to stack blocks without knocking them over. Fira was a fast learner, and soon the house echoed with laughter more than it ever had before. One afternoon, Mara noticed Fira sitting quietly by the window, watching the sky. Her tail glowed softly, reflecting the sunlight. Mara crouched beside her. "Are you thinking about home, Fira?" she asked. Fira blinked slowly and nudged Mara's hand. Mara understood. She did not belong to Earth yet, but she wanted to be part of their family. Mara whispered softly to her father later that evening, "Dad, I think Fira wants to stay with us." "She really does." Simon looked at Fira sleeping in the corner, peaceful and calm, and nodded. Somehow, he could feel that this small alien fox had chosen them just as much as they had chosen her. The house was quiet, but there was a new warmth in the air. Mara, Leo, and Simon all knew that their lives were about to change in ways they could not yet imagine. Fira's presence was a promise of adventure, wonder, and a bond that would grow stronger every day. And for Mara, one thought stayed in her mind, filling her heart with hope. Fira was more than a visitor. She was becoming family. One bright morning, Simon decided it was time to learn more about Fira's ship. The little fox had been so gentle and friendly, but Simon knew they could not ignore the strange technology that had arrived on Earth. Mara and Leo followed him closely, excitement sparkling in their eyes. The ship waited quietly at the edge of the forest, its silver surface glinting in the sunlight. Fira padded ahead, tail glowing faintly. She stopped at the doorway, looking back at Mara and Leo as if to say, "Come on, it is safe." Simon stepped inside carefully. The interior was calm and welcoming, unlike anything he had ever seen. Smooth walls reflected soft light, and glowing orbs floated gently around the room. Strange plants with bright, shimmering leaves grew in small containers along the edges. Fira ran ahead, her paws silent on the floor, and paused beside a tall crystal that pulsed with soft colors. "What is this?" Leo whispered, his eyes wide with wonder. Simon examined the crystal closely. It seemed to hold images inside, moving and changing like tiny holograms. He reached out, and the crystal projected a scene in midair. The children gasped. It showed a world far away, filled with forests, mountains, and creatures like Fira. Fox-like beings with glowing tails ran freely among sparkling lakes and glowing plants. "Is that where you came from?" Mara asked softly, turning to Fira. The fox blinked slowly and gave a soft chime. Mara understood. Fira had been separated from her home planet and had traveled far to explore. Simon's eyes widened. "This is incredible," he said. "Your home, it is very different from Earth." He studied the ship further, noticing panels of symbols that changed as Fira moved her paws over them. The ship seemed alive, responding to her touch. Mara stepped closer to the crystal, fascinated. "Fira, you were lost?" she asked gently. The fox lowered her head, tail flicking slowly. Mara's heart ached. Fira had traveled far from her home and found herself alone. But now, she had found a new family. The ship hummed softly as Simon explored more. Small doors opened to reveal compartments filled with strange tools and devices. Mara picked up a tiny globe that showed glowing points moving across space. Fira chirped softly and nudged the globe with her nose. It spun to show one bright point far away, then paused. Mara realized it was Fira's home planet. "Your family, they must be very far away," Mara whispered. Fira blinked and made a sound that seemed almost like a sigh. Mara reached out and stroked her fur. "But you have us now." Leo wandered to another part of the ship, finding a small console with lights that changed colors. He pressed a button, and a gentle projection filled the room. The images showed scenes of Fira's planet, creatures playing, flying, and communicating with each other. It was peaceful, full of life and beauty. Simon studied the projections carefully. "This technology is very advanced," he said. "But it is not harmful. Fira is not dangerous. She only wants to explore and learn." Fira ran to Mara and nudged her hand. Mara smiled. "I think she is happy we are learning about her world," she said. Fira blinked and wagged her tail, her eyes sparkling with delight. Simon continued exploring the ship. He found a panel that seemed to record memories. With a gentle press, images of Fira's journey appeared. She had traveled through space in a small pod, curious and brave. Mara watched closely, feeling proud of her new friend. Fira had faced unknown dangers and had arrived safely on Earth. "Simon," Mara said softly, "we should help her. She is alone, but she has us now." Simon nodded. "Yes, Mara. She is part of our family, at least until she can return home safely. And maybe, she can stay longer." The children and Simon spent the day exploring the ship with Fira, learning how she lived, played, and communicated. Every corner of the small vessel revealed wonders, glowing plants, soft lights, and tiny holographic stars. It was a safe world inside, a bridge between Earth and the distant planet Fira had come from. As the sun began to set, Mara whispered to Fira, "You are safe here. We will take care of you." Fira curled up at Mara's feet, tail glowing softly. She gave a quiet chime, as if to say thank you. Simon watched the little fox sleeping peacefully and felt a new sense of trust. Fira had come from far away, but she had chosen them as her family. And in return, they would protect her, learn from her, and welcome her into their lives. The ship hummed quietly, as if acknowledging their bond. Mara, Leo, and Simon left the forest that evening with a feeling of wonder. Fira had shown them a glimpse of a world beyond their own. And now, they knew their lives would never be the same. Mara whispered softly to her father as they walked home, "Dad, Fira is really part of our family." Simon looked at her and smiled. Somehow, he already knew she was right. The adventure had only begun, and the secrets of the ship promised even more discoveries in the days to come. Life with Fira had become full of laughter, wonder, and new discoveries. Each day brought something different. Mara and Leo loved teaching Fira about Earth, while Fira surprised the family with clever ways of helping them. One morning, Mara decided it was time to teach Fira how to play simple human games. She placed a ball on the grass and rolled it gently toward the fox. Fira leapt quickly, catching it mid-air with her glowing tail flicking gracefully. Mara clapped her hands in delight. "Good job, Fira," she cheered. Leo joined in, trying to trick Fira with sudden changes of direction. The little fox followed every move with sharp attention. Mara laughed. "She's faster than I thought. You'll have to teach us your tricks one day." Fira wagged her tail and dropped the ball at Mara's feet, her eyes shining as if she understood every word. The children giggled and threw the ball again. Fira's movements were quick and elegant, showing her intelligence and playfulness. Inside the house, Fira began helping in small ways. She carried small objects for Mara, like pencils and books, and nudged shoes back into the closet for Leo. Simon noticed how careful she was, never knocking anything over. Her presence seemed to bring a calm order to the house. One afternoon, Mara sat with Fira in the living room. "Do you want to learn to read?" she asked. Fira tilted her head, blinking slowly. Mara opened a picture book, pointing to animals and objects. Fira touched the images with her paw, and her tail flicked as if she was thinking. Slowly, she began to recognize shapes and patterns. Simon watched quietly, impressed. "She learns quickly," he said. "I have never seen anything like it." Fira's intelligence amazed everyone. She could follow simple instructions, understand gestures, and even anticipate small events. When Mara left her toy blocks on the floor, Fira gently arranged them in neat patterns. When Leo spilled water while drinking, Fira helped him wipe it up with a small cloth she fetched herself. The family noticed subtle changes at home. Plants seemed to grow faster and brighter near Fira, and even small machines worked more smoothly. It was as if her presence brought a little magic to their lives. Mara whispered to her father one evening, "I think she helps everything feel better." Simon nodded quietly, seeing the truth in her words. Fira also began learning about human emotions. When Mara felt sad one morning, Fira nudged her hand and curled up beside her, tail glowing softly. Mara smiled through her tears. "Thank you, Fira. You always know how to make me feel better." Leo loved showing Fira new things too. He introduced her to drawing with crayons, and Fira carefully mimicked his movements, creating bright, colorful shapes. The fox's tail glowed brighter whenever she was excited or pleased. Mara laughed at the patterns Fira made, realizing that even in play, the alien had a unique way of thinking. Even Simon, who had been cautious at first, could not resist Fira's charm. He watched the fox explore the garden, marveling at her gentle curiosity. Fira sniffed the flowers, pawed at the grass, and seemed fascinated by small insects. Simon realized that this little fox was teaching them to notice things they had never paid attention to before. As the days went by, the bond between Fira and the family grew stronger. Mara and Leo felt a deep sense of friendship and trust. Simon felt pride and joy in seeing his children connect so naturally with Fira. Each evening, the family gathered together, sharing stories, games, and laughter. Fira curled up near them, tail glowing softly, watching every movement with alert, intelligent eyes. One quiet evening, Mara looked at Fira and whispered, "You are part of our family now. You don't have to be alone." Fira blinked slowly and nuzzled her hand, as if promising to stay. Simon joined them, sitting beside Mara and Leo. "We have learned a lot from her already," he said. "She teaches us about patience, care, and curiosity. And I think she is teaching us something even more important: how to trust and love someone different from ourselves." Fira chirped softly in response, curling her tail around Mara's arm. The little fox seemed happy, content, and full of life. Mara and Leo laughed, and Simon smiled, feeling a warmth that filled the house. That night, as they all went to bed, Mara whispered to Fira once more, "Tomorrow we will have another adventure together." Fira's tail flicked softly, glowing faintly in the moonlight. The bond between the fox and the family had grown stronger each day, and Mara knew that Fira's presence would bring new discoveries and joy in the days to come. Life was changing, and for Mara, Leo, and Simon, it felt like the beginning of something extraordinary. With Fira by their side, every day promised learning, laughter, and a little magic. The sun was bright and warm when a strange sound echoed near the edge of Willow Creek. Simon was tending the garden, Mara was reading with Fira by her side, and Leo was building a tower of blocks inside. The sound was low, mechanical, and unfamiliar. Fira's ears twitched, and her tail glowed faintly, alert. Simon straightened and looked toward the forest. "Mara, Leo, stay inside," he said calmly but firmly. "We need to see what that is." Through the trees, a group of vehicles appeared, sleek and silver, moving quietly but quickly. Men and women in uniform stepped out, carrying devices that looked advanced but serious. Mara's heart raced. She had read stories about people taking strange creatures for study, and she did not want that to happen to Fira. Fira crouched beside Mara, her eyes wide and intelligent. Mara whispered, "It's okay, Fira. Stay calm." Fira blinked and let out a soft, chime-like sound, as if agreeing. Simon stepped forward to meet the visitors. "Can I help you?" he asked. One of the officers stepped closer. "We received reports of an unknown life form in this area. We need to take it for study." Simon's jaw tightened. "This creature is not dangerous. She is part of my family now. You cannot take her." The officer frowned. "We must ensure safety. It is our responsibility." Mara stepped beside Simon, holding Fira gently. "She is friendly. She wants to stay with us. Please, do not take her away." Fira, sensing the tension, moved slightly in front of Mara, tail glowing brighter as if to protect her human friend. The officers watched cautiously, noticing how intelligent and calm the little fox was. Simon thought quickly. "We cannot let her be taken. She belongs here. You will see that she is harmless if you spend time with her, but not if you force her." The officers hesitated, unsure how to respond. Fira's charm and intelligence were clear. She could follow instructions, understand gestures, and even communicate in small ways. One officer extended a hand slowly. Fira sniffed it and then stepped back, tail flicking. The officer withdrew, realizing that the creature would not be controlled easily. Mara took a deep breath. "Fira is part of our family. We will not let her be taken. Please, understand." Fira then did something unexpected. She darted forward, moving swiftly between the officers and the family, tail glowing brightly. She made soft, melodic sounds that seemed almost like a warning. The officers froze. The little fox was small, but her presence was commanding. She had made it clear she would protect her new family. Seeing this, Simon placed a hand on Mara's shoulder. "We need to stay calm," he said. "If we act wisely, they will understand." The officers lowered their devices. One of them, the leader, stepped forward. "She is remarkable. We have never seen anything like this. Perhaps, she does not belong in our control. We will report that she is harmless." Mara's heart leapt. "Thank you," she whispered softly. The officers retreated to their vehicles, leaving the family and Fira standing together. The fox blinked slowly, tail flicking gently, as if saying the danger had passed. Mara hugged Fira tightly. "You did it," she said. "You protected us." Simon knelt beside Mara. "Yes, she did. And we protected her too. We showed that she belongs here, with us." Leo ran outside, clapping his hands. Fira is brave, he shouted. The little fox pranced happily, tail glowing in soft patterns, clearly pleased by the praise. That evening, as the sun dipped below the trees, Mara, Simon, and Leo gathered around Fira. Mara whispered, "We will always protect each other. You are part of our family, and nothing will change that." Fira blinked slowly and leaned against Mara, her tail glowing softly. Simon smiled. "This day has shown us that family is more than just being human. It is about trust, care, and courage. Fira has proven herself, and we have proven that we belong together." Fira made a small chirping sound, curling up comfortably between Mara and Leo. The house felt warmer, safer, and full of love. The challenge had tested them all, but it had only made their bond stronger. Mara looked at her father. "Tomorrow, we can go back to our adventures, right?" she asked. Simon nodded. "Yes, Mara. Tomorrow, and every day after, we will learn and grow together. And Fira will be part of all of it." The little fox yawned and stretched, tail flicking gently in the fading light. Mara smiled. She knew that Fira's presence was not only magical, but it also taught them courage, patience, and love. And together, they could face anything that came their way. For the first time since Fira had arrived, Simon felt completely at peace. Their family was stronger, braver, and ready for whatever adventures awaited them. The morning after the challenge, Willow Creek felt brighter and calmer. Mara woke up with a smile, excited to see Fira. She ran to the living room, where the little fox was already waiting, tail glowing softly in the sunlight. Fira's eyes sparkled as she looked at Mara, as if greeting her with the words, "Good morning." Simon followed slowly, carrying Leo in his arms. "Good morning, everyone," he said, smiling at the sight of Fira and Mara together. The events of the previous day were still fresh in his mind. The government officers had left, realizing Fira was intelligent and harmless, and that she truly belonged with their family. Mara knelt beside Fira. "You're safe now," she said softly. Fira blinked slowly, tail flicking happily, and nudged Mara's hand. Mara laughed and hugged the little fox gently. Leo climbed down from Simon's arms and ran to Fira. "I missed you," he exclaimed. Fira hopped playfully, chasing Leo around the room in a gentle game. Mara laughed as the two of them ran circles around the furniture. Simon watched them quietly. He felt pride and happiness. He had always known life could be full of surprises, but this little fox was more than he had ever imagined. Fira had brought warmth, joy, and a sense of wonder into their home. After breakfast, the family decided to explore the forest together. Fira ran ahead, tail glowing bright, leading them to the clearing near her ship. Mara followed closely, holding Fira's paw gently. "You're part of our family now," she whispered again. Fira chirped softly, as if saying thank you. Simon examined the ship briefly, but this time, he did not feel cautious or worried. He saw it as a connection to Fira's world, a reminder that their lives were now shared with a friend from far beyond the stars. "She is remarkable," he said quietly. "We are lucky to have her." As they walked back toward their home, Mara noticed Fira pausing to look at a patch of wildflowers. The fox sniffed each one carefully, then gently touched them with her paw. Mara smiled. "You are curious about everything, aren't you?" Fira blinked and wagged her tail in response. Back at home, the children played while Simon prepared lunch. Fira explored the kitchen, sniffing at pots and pans, watching Simon move. She seemed fascinated by the different smells and sounds. Mara laughed. "She wants to learn everything about our world," she said. Fira made a soft chime, nodding in her own way. In the afternoon, Mara and Leo gathered around Fira with paper and crayons. They drew pictures of Earth and Fira's planet, showing her colors, shapes, and patterns. Fira touched the drawings carefully with her paw, tail glowing brighter whenever she was pleased. Mara realized that Fira was not only learning about them, but they were learning about her too. Simon sat nearby, watching the scene. Family is about understanding and caring for each other, he said softly. We have learned from her, and she has learned from us. That is what makes her part of our family. As the sun began to set, Mara, Leo, and Simon sat together on the porch. Fira curled up beside them, tail glowing softly in the fading light. Mara whispered to the little fox, "You belong here. You are home." Fira blinked slowly, nudging Mara's hand gently, as if to promise she would stay. Simon looked at the glowing fox and smiled. "We have a new adventure every day," he said. "Fira has shown us that family can be found in the most unexpected ways." Leo yawned and rested his head on Mara's shoulder. "I love Fira," he said sleepily. Fira curled closer, tail wrapping gently around him. Mara smiled, feeling a warmth in her heart she had never felt before. That evening, Mara tucked Fira into a soft blanket near the fireplace. The little fox yawned and blinked, looking content and peaceful. Mara whispered, "We will always protect you, Fira. You are part of our family now, forever." Simon and Mara sat quietly, watching Fira sleep. The house felt calm, safe, and full of love. The adventures, challenges, and surprises of the past days had brought them closer together. They had faced uncertainty, courage, and trust, and they had emerged stronger as a family. As night fell, the stars shone brightly above Willow Creek. Fira's tail glowed softly in the moonlight, reflecting her happiness and comfort in her new home. Mara whispered one last time, "You are home, Fira. And we are glad you are here." The little fox curled up fully, tail glowing gently, and let out a soft chime. Mara, Leo, and Simon felt a deep sense of peace. Fira had found her place, and in doing so, she had made their family complete. Life with Fira promised new adventures, laughter, and discovery. But for now, the family simply enjoyed the quiet, happy moment together. Mara knew that whatever came next, they would face it as a family, human and fox, earth and stars, together. And so, the little alien fox had joined their family, and their hearts were fuller than ever.